dear students, welcome to this lecture on strategic human resource management, and this is unit 2, and we will be talking today about a very important topic, that is training and development. I am Dr. Tripti Barthwal. I am Director, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies, Lucknow. So, as I said that it is a very important topic, and why it is an important topic, because the performance of a person in an organization is highly dependent on his capability, his competency to work, and a very important function, HR function, which can increase a person's competencies, his capacity to work, is training and development. So, from the organizational point of view and from the strategic point of view, training and development assumes a lot of significance. So, in the earlier lecture we have talked about the staffing function in an organization, and there also we had discussed that training and development is a very important part of the staffing function. So, let us take a look at about this function in detail. So, training and development is one of the main functions of human resource department. The quality of employees and the continual improvement of their skills and productivity through training are now widely recognized as vital factors to ensure long-term success and profitability of business. So, that is a well accepted fact in the organizations, that if you want to ensure improvement, continuous improvement of skills of employees, if you want to improve the productivity, profitability, and if you want to ensure that the organization is successful in the long run, then you have to focus on training and development. Training refers to a systematic process where employees are instructed and taught matters of technical knowledge related to their jobs. So, here in training the focus is the technical knowledge which is related to their jobs. And why I am emphasizing on this, because with training another term which is very frequently used is development. So, we will see how training and development are different from each other. So, if we are enhancing the skills of an employee, if we are enhancing the technical knowledge of the employee which he or she is going to specifically use in his or her current job, then we are training. That means that is the purview of training. And training programs have very specific and quantifiable goals. So, that is why training programs have very clear, and you can also measure those goals. You can also see how far after the training program those goals have been achieved, or what has been the deficiency or the gap in the achievement of those goals. And they focus on teaching employees how to use particular machines or how to do specific tasks to increase efficiency. So, all the focus in a training program will be about increasing efficiency, about increasing productivity related to a particular job which the employee is currently, or maybe in the coming immediate future he is or she is going to perform. Now, in contrast to this, development is a more long term activity, and it implies opportunities created to help employees grow. It is more of long term or futuristic in nature. So, any knowledge which we are going to give to the employees which leads to an improvement in his overall personality, which leads to an improvement in his overall knowledge, overall competency, then it is a development program. Whatever we have taught in the development program may not be immediately required by the employee, but in the long term, somehow or the other, it will lead to the enhancement in the growth of the person, then that we will be calling as a development program. So, this chart kind of sums up the difference between training and development. So, we can see training is mostly short term with a concrete goal. As I said, quantifiable goals are there for training. Development is a long term activity with goals that are open ended and ongoing. So, development you can impart certain knowledge to the employee at phase 1, then he or she may according to the time available and the opportunity available go to phase 2, phase 3. So, it is an unending kind of an activity. Training focuses on the role, the current task which is assigned to the person or maybe immediate future, as I said. Development focuses on the person, right. Then training aims at a specific job or role requirement. Development is more conceptual and focuses on overall progression of the individuals. Then training revolves around immediate or the present need. So, as I said, immediate or the present need or very near immediate need, and development activities are always futuristic in nature. Immediately you may not derive any benefit out of development programs. Training enhances the knowledge or skills for a particular job or role. Development focuses on career building and progression. And then training programs are group focused, where more than one individual participates in organized group events such as workshop, classes or seminars, etc. And development activities tend to be more of a personalized experience which is catered based on the individual's development plan. So, training is basically a group based activity, because all people who are performing the same job are required to be trained in the same type of skills. Development is more personalized, more focused. So, it may be one to one also, and it can be done in a small group, but the group size has not to be very large, because then the individual attention or focus goes away. Then importance of training and development, much has been said about it. So, it leads to optimum utilization of human resources, that is, we are having lot of people in the organization, but they do not have the right kind of skills and competencies. So, it is a waste for us. So, it leads to optimum utilization of human resources. It leads to improvement in the productivity and efficiency of the employees, and then this is how actually it leads to optimum utilization of human resources. And then personal growth of employees, employees who are well trained, who are good at their jobs, they are always preferred for promotion, for advancement over their contemporaries, and they not only are preferred for promotions within the organization, they are sought after by other organizations. So, if such employees apply to some other organizations also, to competitors also, they would be more than happy, more than willing to take, because you already know that there is a war of talent, war for talent rather. Companies want to attract and want to have the best of people in their organization. So, this if employees take up training very seriously, then it can lead to lot of personal growth also. Then it also creates a learning culture in the organization, wherein everybody is on their toes to improve, to get the maximum out of what is being offered to them in a training program, and to update and upgrade themselves continuously, because it improves the performance of the organization also, it leads to better compensation packages also, more incentives also, and it also leads to personal growth of the employee. Then reduction in employee turnover. When employees are satisfied, their compensation packages are good enough, attractive, then what happens, that the chances of employees moving from one organization to another are low. So, the replacement costs which we have discussed in the earlier lecture are also taken care of, because replacement costs are very high for organizations, and it is very difficult to get perfect substitutes of existing employees. So, once we are able to control the employee turnover rate, half the battle is won for the organization, because there will be lesser efforts in staffing also, then you will not be requiring more people, so their costs will be saved, then lot of time and energy going in selection, then training of the employees, all these things will be saved. Then we talk about the steps involved in a training program. So, any training program, because training is an expensive activity, you are investing in the employee and the benefits will come over a period of time. They will not come immediately in terms of revenue. So, they will come over a period of time. So, the organization has to invest money, invest resources in training very carefully. And very carefully, I mean that it has to first assess that why is it organizing a particular, just for the sake of having a training program, because it is considered very good and it is very a kind of a fashion, a trend in the market. So, for that sake, training programs should not be organized. So, the first thing which organizations need to take care of is that they should be able to focus on what is the need for training, why are we organizing this training program, or on what area we should organize the training program. So, if this is done properly, then the training program is most likely to be a success, because we have at least identified our destination, that this is what we are trying to achieve. So, you have to set a goal for yourself, and the right goal which is a desired and a wanted goal for the organization. Now, how do we identify training needs? So, we conduct this process of training need analysis, TNA, what we call in short, and TNA can be conducted at 3 levels. It is generally conducted at 3 levels. The first is organizational analysis, of course, because we are conducting training and development programs to improve the performance of the organization as a whole. So, we have to see that in the future, right, whatever are our plans for the future, if we are going to expand or we are going to diversify, then is it a related diversification, is it an unrelated diversification? If it is a related diversification, then little training will help, because already employees know the work. But if it is an unrelated diversification, then in that case we have to go for rigorous training programs. So, organizational overall strategic business level, we have to see that what are the goals of the organization and how these goals will be achieved through better training, right. Then second is task analysis. This is again a way of looking at our training needs, that is for whatever plans we have in terms of the organization, what activities will be performed to achieve those tasks, and in order to perform those activities, what will be the skills required to perform those activities. So, this will also help us to find out our training needs. And the third is individual analysis or the person analysis, wherein we look at the job descriptions, job specifications. We try to find out that okay, this is the point where this is the job specification, this is the kind of skill required in the employee, and this is what it is lacking in the employee. So, we very well know the gap, and we can very well find just focus our training program on that particular area. So, these 3 levels of conducting TNA are actually looking at the same thing from 3 different perspectives, so that you get a very clear picture on what should be the objectives of the training program, in what area should we organize the training program. And this is, as I said, very important, because if you start right, then it is very likely that you are going to finish also right. So, individual analysis when we conduct, then we can generally 3 areas where training is required. All the whatever points come to us, they can be clubbed into these 3 categories. First is we can give employees training sessions on motivation, so that they are enthusiastic about whatever changes are being done or whatever work they are doing. Second is that, of course, skills mastery. If their skill level is changing, there is a gap, then that deficiency has to be filled in. So, skill mastery, training programs related to skill mastery. And the third is that many times lot of conceptual skills are required, decision making abilities are required, planning activities have to be done, and employees have to foresee what is going to happen in the future, and then they have to take decisions according to them, those situations. So, critical thinking skills are also a part of the training programs which can be conducted by the organization. Then the second step in organizing a training program is getting ready for the job. Now, once we have decided, okay, this is the area, this is the topic on which we have to give training to our employees. Now, there has to be a lot of back end preparation which has to be done. Now, we have to decide who is going to attend the training program. Of course, once you have done the organizational analysis, task analysis and individual analysis, you are very clear that who will be attending the training program. But still, if the number of people is 100, 200, then all of them will not be attending the training program in one batch. Either you have to run several batches simultaneously, or you have to take them one by one. Right, it has to be a sequential thing. So, in the first batch, how many people will be trained, who will be those people, how do you select those people, on what criteria. So, trainees, we have to decide the venue of the training program, whether the training program will be conducted within the organization, or you want employees to have a little different flavor, you want to send them to some training institute, or you want to organize it in a resort, or this is also very common because it helps employees to relax also and to concentrate on the training because they are away from their workplace. So, or some resort or some good hotel, it can be in the same city, it can be outside the city, it can be sometimes outside the country also if the organization can afford. So, venue is also very important. And then for how many days the training program will be held. So, 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, 15 days, 6 months. So, it all depends on what area are you giving the training and how much depth you want to go into that area, and then the starting date and the finishing date, that was also important depending on the other activities which are going on in the organization. Then it is said that you can take a horse to the water, but you cannot force him to drink. So, and I would like to say that even in today's time, you cannot even take the horse to the water. So, by because of fear or because of that insecurity of losing their job, employees may enroll themselves for the training program. They may go physically, but mentally they are not there in the training program. So, it is very important. The second most important thing after identifying the training needs, the second most important thing is that the learner should be enthusiastic and motivated about attending the training program. Otherwise, all efforts, all resources will go down the drain if the people for whom the training program was meant, they have not been giving their 100%. They are not at all willing to attend or to learn from the training program. So, preparation of the learner, and this step involves putting the learner at ease so that he does not feel nervous because of the fact that he is on a new job. So, many times people have this anxiety, whether I will be able to learn the new skills, especially people who are above middle age. They have these anxieties, they feel that young people can learn things very quickly, but what about us? So, that nervousness, that anxiety has to be taken care of. People need to be counseled. They may need to be made comfortable that they will be very easily able to understand and learn if they are relaxed. Then the employees who are the trainees who are likely to attend the training program, they also need to know that what is the significance of the training program, how it is going to add on to the organizational performance, and how it is they have to be explained the relationship of their job to the workflow, that if they do not perform up to the optimal level, how the performance of the organization is going to be hampered. So, that also has to be told to the employees. Then explain the learner reasons why he is being taught. So, it is very important for the HR manager or whoever, the line manager, to explain to the trainees that it is not only for the organization, but it is also important for their personal growth, and it is also important for their confidence that they attend the training program very, very seriously and very, very keenly, because once they learn the skills in which are being imparted in the training program, they will be able to perform their job in a much better way, and actually they will be more comfortable in performing their job, they will be more at ease in performing their job. And create interest and encourage questions to find out what the learner already knows about his job or other jobs. So, interest can also be, see for example, if for a topic we are totally blank, then our fear level is higher. We don't know anything about the topic. But if we have some idea of the topic, we have done something of that type distinctly also in the past, then we are more comfortable, right. So, somehow or the other, what the trainees know, or what they have done in the past, if the current training program can be related to that, you can discuss, you can put questions to the employees, and then you can bring out from them that yes, you have done something like this before, not exactly this, but quite related to this. So, what will happen? The anxiety level of the people will come down, they will feel that yes, they can do this, and they will be more comfortable in attending the training program, they will be rather more enthusiastic in attending the training program. Then presentation of operations and knowledge, that this is the practical. Now, before this we were only preparing for the training program. Now, this is the point wherein the training program is organized, it is there, and we have to decide on what are the training techniques which we have to use in imparting training to the employees. So, we will be talking about training techniques and methods in the next lecture. So, here it is very important to note that instruction should be given clearly, completely and patiently, because you have to treat your employees like a fresh slate. So, you have to be very patient with them, like children, teachers are very patient with small children. Similarly, they should be treated in that way, and instructions should be very, very clearly given to them. Then one point should be explained at a time, there should not be overload of ideas and overload of concepts for the employees, then they kind of crash down. So, one by one things should be moved on from the simpler to the complicated. Then use of audio visual aids, because again this is very, very important that we use audio and visual is very, very important because studies have shown the importance of visual means of communication, visual means of teaching in effective teaching. So, like for example, you must be finding it more convenient when you can see the teacher in the class, when you can see the board in front of you, the points in front of you, rather than only if you are hearing a voice of the teacher, then it is difficult for you to concentrate, to focus. So, visual has a lot of impact, and in studies have seen that 83% of our learning happens through sight, right, through our eyes. So, that is why we have to see that appropriate AV aids are being used. Then there should be a good enough time and scope for trainees to clarify their doubts, ask their questions. They should not be fearful or feel ashamed of asking questions. There should, all doubts in their mind should be, they should have that kind of confidence to clarify. Then the next is performance tryout. So, performance tryout, that once the training program has finished, it is very important to know that how far it has led to the achievement of its objectives, how far the trainees have understood, how far they have been able to, they will be used to, they will be able to use it in their job. So, performance tryout is essential because of that reason. So, trainee is asked to do the job gradually, building up the skill and speed. So, initially the trainee will be slow, he will be a little cautious in doing the things. So, one has to have patience, and gradually, look, like we walk on a treadmill or like we drive a vehicle, initially it is at a slow speed and then we gradually pick the speed, we accelerate. So, similarly in a training program this is going to happen. Initially it is going to be slow and gradually it is going to pick up the speed. And whatever problems are being encountered, whatever mistakes are being done, they have to be rectified also from time to time, so that when the trainee starts working on his actual job, then he does not commit those kinds of mistakes. So, and the last, in any program which we organize or any plan we may make, evaluation, feedback, follow up is the most essential element. And we have to test the effectiveness of training efforts in this. We will be talking about this in detail when we talk about evaluation of training. Because this will help us to understand that whatever money we spend, whatever resources we spent on organizing the training program, was it worth it or not? Did we get that kind of results from the training? So, just to recapitulate the entire process of training, we started with identifying the training needs, then we moved on to getting ready for the job, then we third step was preparation of the learner, then the fourth step was presentation of knowledge and operations and knowledge, then the next step was performance tryout, and the sixth and the last step was follow up and evaluation. So, if we kind of just break down these 6 steps, then we see that the training program, it can be broadly divided into 3 phases. So, the first phase, which will cover the first 3 steps, will be the pre-training phase, because here till here the training program has not started. We are just preparing by identifying the needs of the training, then motivating the learner to give his best, and also deciding on the date, venue, duration, etc. So, that is the pre-training phase. Then the next step, where actually the training program takes place, wherein we are giving those operations and knowledge skills to the employee, that is the training phase. And the last 2 steps can be taken in post training phase, wherein we are evaluating, we are going for performance tryout. So, these are the broad 3 stages of training. So, I hope that you have understood the process of organizing a training program, and we will continue with the training techniques in the next class. Thank you.